This is Jude, sit, and this is Jude's roadmap to success. Now, Jude is a big German, actually not a huge German Shepherd. He probably is carrying a little bit of weight. The general rule of thumb is you should be able to feel the dog's ribs without seeing them. I cannot see them, but I'm also having difficulty feeling. I can feel a little bit of them, so he's not fat, but he could use lose a little bit of weight. I also mentioned his guardian. There's just something about his back legs and the way that he's walking and carrying them that I would like to have a vet look at. So it's just like a little bit of wobbliness that you shouldn't see in a dog that's this age. And sometimes we just kind of, it's a little bit awkward. I have an elderly dog and he's displaying a lot of the same things, but my elderly dog is 13 and that's old, it's father time. All right, for his roadmap to success, we started off, like I started a lot of my sessions, asking about exercise, rules, structure, discipline that are in place. Now, basically, we used to live in a town, there was a dog park. Now we live in a small town where there's no dog park, and the house does not have a backyard, which makes things more difficult because dogs need to be able to run off leash. So I don't know if there's an area, I don't know how good his recall is. I don't know if there's an area around town where you would feel a farmer that has a field that you could let him out. Or we might have to drive to the next town so we can, but that's kind of a pain. So we'd like to put up a temporary fencing or figure out a way where we can get him some off-leash time so we can burn some excess energy. Now, scent games, which is something you can Google, there was a whole lot of scent games. The other day, it's April or it's March, I just was working on my taxes. And I had one day where I sat down, and I'm not a numbers guy, I spent like 6 hours over my numbers. I was exhausted. I was just sitting there. I wasn't doing anything athletic. I can run and do all these other things that do make me winded. Using the brain can make a dog very tired as well. So scent games would be maybe you put him into a sit, stay in the kitchen, come in here and you hide a couple treats, and there may be 5 treats, and he's got to find them. And there's a whole bunch of variants of this. I'm just making it overly simplified. But doing things that make him use his noggin will actually burn off a lot of excess energy. And one of the great things if you have a dog that's too energetic is to take him out to burn some energy first, play a game of fetch, or have him chase a laser or rollerblading or whatever it is first. Then we bring him inside, make sure he's not breathing heavy. Once he stops breathing heavy, then we get him ready for a walk. And we have a couple of videos above about tips about making him not react to people passing by the walk, and then the other one about tips on preparing him for the walk. Most of us like I said in that video, we're just ready to go, and then the dog starts protesting and getting out of control, and we get frustrated with the dog. And most times it's because we haven't taught the dog how we want it to behave. Now, the Guardian actually went to, I think, Big Moose and a couple other trainers in Omaha. And the difference between hiring a trainer and a behaviorist is trainers typically chase the symptoms. From what I'm identifying, I think the reason he's reacted to people passing by the house is because he didn't have a lot of rules and structure, and he got the impression that he wasn't being asked to do anything to help the house, and his guardian wasn't correcting him very much, and she was rewarding him for some undesirable behaviors unintentionally. So I think he got into his mind that I have to protect her. I want to contribute to the group. That's how I can protect. And the excess energy probably is compounding it a little bit. The energy is not going to be the cause of it, but it's going to be an accelerant. So we'll talk about passive training here in a second. But basically, the more that we enforce rules and pet the dog and reward desired actions and behaviors, these are things that the dog starts to see and figure out, hey, they reward me when I do this, 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 and this. When I sit, come, lay down, stand, and bring them this blue ball. These are things the human likes, and they give me attention for. Most of us actually train our dogs to misbehave. And Big Moose or one of the other trainers, that's what they sold. Every time that he barks when there's a sound outside, to get up and say thank you. Well, I'll say thank you. About 10% of dogs you can say thanks or acknowledge them and they'll stop barking. But most of us do not have that 10% dog. So because good attention and bad attention from us is about the same thing, it's validating to get our attention. So the dog barks and I get up and I go and say it's okay. Well, I got up and walked over there. So I'm saying that I'm recognizing what you're saying. And that makes the dog want to do it more and more often. And so the more that we can help flip the leader-follower dynamic, the better. Now, the Guardian already is doing one thing that I really like. When she feeds him dinner, she puts him into a sit-stay, she puts food in his bowl, and then she prepares her meal. Now, what I don't like is then she gives him permission to eat, and then as she sits down to eat. Dogs eat in the order of their rank. I want the Guardian to do what she's been doing, but after she's done preparing her food, she's going to sit down and she's going to eat her meal. When she's done, she's going to walk to the kitchen, and as she walks by, then she's going to say feast or eat or whatever the word is, and then the dog has permission to eat. So he sees the human eat first, and then he eats after. If the human is going to go out to dinner, there's a lot of great restaurants in this town. If she's going to go out to dinner, she might just eat 5 or more bites of a chip or a cracker or something that's small So he sees her eating first, and then she seems to be done, then she gives him permission to eat. So you don't have to eat your actual meal. Let me see, we also went over some rules. One of the rules would be not being allowed in the furniture. Now that's kind of been a quasi-rule, but I would say for 30 days, no furniture except for the bed. And the bed, 30 days minimum, or as long as the problems are still going on. The bed should be only with an invitation. So the human goes in, she gets her PJs on and does her nighttime ritual, gets in bed, fluffs the covers, and she's comfortable. Then she invites him up. And if at any point he gets up out of bed, on bed without, then she gets up and makes him get down and then gets back up. Let me see. We also went over some other rules. He has to sit before we let him in or out of the door. So I go to the door and I say, sit once. If he doesn't sit within about 3 seconds, I turn and walk away. Sit down. A lot of this session was actually talking about stopping our forward momentum anytime the dog starts doing something we don't want. And this is another huge difference between dog trainers and dog behaviors. Dog trainers want to control the environment, the situation. They really have you micromanaging your dog. Your dog's reacting to another dog, they'll get your dog to look at you, or to sit, or go to a different place, or whatever it is. What I do is I try to recreate a situation as a dog behaviorist, and I control the situation. So instead of having all the live elements, maybe there's 15 live elements in the real world situation, I would take 10 of them away. Flop. And so that we only have one that we're dealing with, and then I put the dog in a controlled situation, so the only thing the dog can do is the thing that I want, and as soon as it does it, I reward it. Now in this case, we're stopping. So the process of the leash, as soon as the dog moves in front of us, as we're walking to where the leash is, we stop and we go sit down. Once we get the dog actually on the leash and we walk towards the door, as soon as the dog walks in front of us, we stop, drop the leash and go sit down. We're not correcting, we're not telling no, we're not getting mad. This is why I mentioned in the above videos, starting to do these things way before we're actually planning on doing it takes all the frustration out of our end, which makes it a lot easier for us to, fine, you drop the leash and sit down, and I don't care in the world, I'm going to do the crossword puzzle or whatever it is. Now in the other video we talked about specific steps that she could go through, but helping him get all the way out the door completely calm. When we got outside, he was better with the martingale, but I think the guardian would be well served to come actually to Omaha when we do our adult training classes. We're going to do a loose leash walking class. It'll be probably a Saturdays sort of thing. It'll be, you come into Omaha, we'll put your dogs in kennels, and then we show you how to do it, and one at a time you practice it. But that way we do it in a more of a controlled situation. Inside, outside there's a lot of stimulus, there's a lot of excitement. Okay. Let me see. We also went over other rules, not being allowed within 7 feet of the human when they're eating, not being allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food, and things along those lines. Also look for ways to delay gratification, just like you are for dinner. Right now, I put the food in, you have to wait. Well, maybe you have to do that before I throw the ball. If we're playing fetch, sit. And then once you sit, then I throw it. And after a while, the dog sits automatically, sit, and I'm going to wait 5 seconds. Then I'm going to throw it. So by building in breaks, we help the dog practice going up and stopping, up and stopping. I dog ski with my dogs. I put on rollerblades and I have them put on a harness and I have them pull me. Every time we get to a corner, I make them stop several feet before the corner, even when there's nobody there, especially when there's nobody there. Because otherwise they just are accustomed to tearing ass through that corner. And if there's a semi coming through, I'm going to be a cripple. So I have to help the dog practice the behavior I want by breaking it down into small individual steps, which is really a microcosm of what we did during the session. Let me see. I also went over petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose is when he invades personal space or nudges or scratches or puts his paw or whatever, he's telling me what to do. Only leader dogs get petted and attention for free. So if every time I do that, I'm telling him, yes, you're more important than me. Look, you get the attention for free. So no, what you're going to have to do from now on is earn it. So you come up and nudge me. I'm going to give you a counter order, tell you to sit. When you sit, I'm going to pat him under his chin, say just the word sit, not good sit, not sit, just sit. And then I can pet him for an hour at that point. If he's already sitting, I'm going to ask him to come and sit over here, or ask him to lie down. He just has to do something to change his state. After we've done this for a while, he's going to figure it out, and he's going to come over and start sitting in front of you to prepay for attention. We call this manding or learning demand. And then you pet him for doing that. That will make putting him into a sit, like one of the videos we had above, it was hard to get him to sit because he was so excited to go for a walk. Well, the more he has to sit for every other thing, that will make it that easier. So petting with a purpose is just making the dog do something first anytime it demands attention from you. Or if you want to pet the dog, for no rare reason, still ask the dog to sit. It just helps set a healthy leader-follower dynamic. Now, passive training is basically rewarding the dog every time it does something we want. So if the mom, if we're a mom is raising a kid and she gets a good grade, we put that on the report card in the refrigerator. We get a gold star in class and all these things. This is what we do for humans. It works great for dogs too. So basically, when he comes and on his own and comes up to you, pet him and say come. And when he comes and sits next to you, if he's not prepaying, or if he's prepaying, you'd still want to pet him for that. But if he just comes and sits down, he's not asking for attention. He just sat down. I appreciate you sitting down. Look, you get attention from me for sitting down. He lies down, we pet him and say plots. When he lies down on his side, we pet him and we say splat, or whatever the word is that we come up with that. So the more that we recognize and reward him for desired actions and behaviors, the more inclined he's going to be to want to engage and do those as a way of asking for something. And also when we're out on a walk or things like that, it makes it much, much easier for him to do so. He's a big, strong dog, and using a prong collar or force or trying to prevent him from doing things is going to be frustrating for him, frustrating for the human. It's not going to really teach him anything. If I'm teaching someone to do yoga and I just manipulate their body into the positions, that's not teaching them yoga. That's going to probably make them resent doing it. So instead what we do is I'm going to show, okay, I want you to bend your knee a little bit more, now turn your elbow this way and do that, and break it in and teach the people how to do it. There were several times during the session the guardian wanted him to sit, so she kind of put her hand on his rump and tried to escort him down, but that kind of creates a resentment or resistance for a dog. So we want to do that as little as possible. We would preferably do that and not at all. Also, leash corrections. We are going to use the leash corrections for the martingale collar, but I would prefer, like I said, to have the guardian come to our class so we don't have to do any leash corrections. He's a German Shepherd. He should be able to, he's a smart dog. He's clearly a smart dog. Yes, I'm talking about you. But he should be able to learn how to do these things, and being able to walk down the street with the dog walking at a perfect heel next to you with a loose leash is pretty awesome. Let me see, what else do we go over? Don't ever walk around him. If he's standing in your way, walk through him so that he gets used to what a human coming. My job is to get out of the human's way. Use the escalating consequences to disagree with him with unwanted actions and behaviors. Remember, hiss before he does the wrong thing. If you forget how to do the rest of them, message me. I can send you a link to other videos. The focus exercise and those things are great, but remember, once he is above threshold and he's reacting, the thing you have to do is increase the distance between him and whatever he's reacting to, go around a tree or a car, then do the focus exercise, wait, do something so that we get his energy to calm back down like it is here. Calm and balance is the way that the dog is going to be able to perform at its optimal level, just like us. I'm not going to be giving a good session if I almost get in a fight right before I come in here. My adrenaline and cortisone and all that, of course, all that stuff's going through my blood. I cannot turn it off. It's a chemical reaction. The same thing happens for dogs. So if he starts getting worked up, that's why we spend a lot of time in this session practicing the process of getting ready to go out the door without actually the end result. Because every time we get ready and we do the end result, then I'm excited, more excited next time. So by stopping every time he starts showing excitement and practicing this at 5 or 10 times a day without actually going for a walk, by the time we actually do go to walk, he's just like, oh, this is boring. Oh, we're walking? Okay. And he's nice and calm and balanced. Now you're walking on the street and you're like, man, your dog was all over the place before and now he's just walking next to you. What happened? You're like, of course, we hired dog on problems. They showed us what we were doing wrong. But again, we're just basically teaching him we're teaching the dog by doing nothing. Not by doing nothing, but by stopping the instant the dog starts to do the wrong thing. And that's why we give ourselves a lot of time ahead of time. But this is something that takes a lot longer, but it is a permanent solution. Let me see, I don't think, there's probably some other things I'm forgetting. The guardian, please call me or text me if you have any questions or problems, because I can only help you if I know that there's a problem. Can we get you to sit? Oh, one other thing I did forget. I can show you right here on this video. So he's got what we call a hard mouth, or not a super hard mouth, but he bites a little hard. So what I do for that is I go like this. No. 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 Gentle. So the idea is I'm approaching slowly, and every time he tries to lean forward and try to take, I say no and I pull it away. And eventually, with my dog, I go like this, and he go here, and he goes, he like literally turns his head to the side, and I go to the side and I put it in. But we say gentle only when he takes it in gentle. And if he tries to take it too hard, it goes away. So if you want to practice that, I would grab maybe 5 or 10 of these treats and practice in a row, and then try to do that 3 or 4 times throughout the day. There's other techniques you can Google on how to give your dog a soft mouth is what it's called. But like I said, I'm not a dog trainer, but this is something a lot of dogs that they bite too hard, especially when he's overexcited. That's when he's going to be more apt to bite too hard. Now, one thing he does do is he does put teeth on. So that's what I do typically for puppies. Some dogs, it doesn't work very well, but anytime he puts his teeth on you, even if it's accidental, he's not nipping or biting, you understand that anytime you put your teeth on a human, the humans are just super frail. They freak out and they cry like little babies. Well, we need him to learn good bite inhibition because he's a German Shepherd. He could do a lot of damage if in the wrong scenario. Come here, Jude. Put one right there for you, buddy. Come here. Sit. This is Jude. This is his roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.